So welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. My guest today is call sign Dusty, who him and I have chatted for quite a while on our Discord. And speaking of the Discord, let me go into the sponsor stuff, and I want to talk about a feature on my Discord that maybe a lot of people don't know about yet. Shout out to the sponsors, Skirmish. Go to skirmish.net to find out more. And if you want to find out a ton about Skirmish, go to episode 157 where I had Brandon, the owner of Skirmish, on the podcast. He talks about all the features and all that cool stuff. It's an awesome stat tracking system for airsoft, big events, small events, indoor, outdoor, whatever. And it's badass. So go check it out. I have the links in the description. The other sponsor is Jackal Tactical. They're a field and storefront up in PA, run by Paul Whitman. Go up there and check it out if you're in that area, and definitely check out their website. They've got a bunch of stuff on there you can order. So shout out to the sponsor of the podcast. Go to jackaltactical.com or jacktac.com. And I have those links in here as well. But Dusty, welcome, brother. We have some cool stuff to talk about. I got your YouTube stuff pulled up and your Facebook, and we'll go over your team and give a little intro on yourself and how you got into airsoft.
All right. So, I would like to consider myself like a new age airsofter. And as one of the older buddies of mine who's been playing for a long time, he's like called it the influencer age of airsoft because of like Novritsch and Airsoft Alphonse. Like they're getting a lot of exposure, at least, as much as airsoft can on the internet because it's,
Right.
shunned.
Canceled.
Yeah.
God almighty.
That's not the reason I got into it, but it's like I
Yeah.
definitely saw that and I was like, I would aspire to be similar at least if I could. But back in the day, way back when I was, a kid, I'm 23, I think. I gotta count. But so I'm one of probably the younger fellas you've had on. I know you've had
Yeah.
Ghost, which I think is also the same age as me,
Yep.
maybe,
He
or at
is.
least similar. So you get to, hang out with the young airsoft crowd for a bit,
Right.
and
Oh,
and
dude, it keeps me
we'll
young, man.
chat
That's why I
you
love
up.
doing this.
But my dad, way back when I was younger, got us like springers, and so we'd play with springers. And he was ex-army, so he loved that stuff. He loved playing with toy guns. And I remember he had a few like electric guns when they first like started being, popular, and he loved them to pieces. And then in high school, one of my buddies was like, "Hey, there's like a field like 20 minutes away. Like we should go do this." And I was like, "Oh, like airsoft? Like I did that when I was a kid, dude. I love that shit." Like I was like, let's go do it. And then we went and did it. And it was like not just playing it, like it's a whole established game. And like the airsoft we have here in Maine, we're extremely fortunate due to Omega, who runs these fields. He does a great job. And it's not just like your average airsoft experience. It's very, very in depth, very well organized. And it raises a higher level of airsoft player, I think, if you just start playing at these fields.
Hmm.
So it kind of just took off, and it was me and my dad, and we would go out and play and have a great
That's cool.
time. And then I started the team like shortly after that, probably my first year, maybe my second year. I
Okay.
started my team, and then we've just kind of progressed from there. I got really into like the community side of it, and that's my big focus. So like I like helping the guy that runs the field, and I like writing games. I like helping people write and run games.
Oh, nice.
Um, I spend a lot of time at the field, like building structures and repairing and continuing to build new stuff.
Yeah.
I heard Matty Mo say, airsoft, is this a hobby? And for me, it feels like this is my calling. Like I wish I could do it and
Full time.
live doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Can't do that in Maine, sadly. It's a community. It's just not a big enough thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it is what I enjoy doing. Like work for me is just like a means to get by and live, but I
Hmm.
much rather prefer doing anything airsoft related.
Yeah.
And it's been a endless thirst for knowledge and enlightenment in almost every avenue of airsoft. Like
Yeah.
I got into working on rifles. I loved buying all sorts of different products to see what was good and what was bad and try to wrap my head around like what is airsoft. And
Yeah.
I'm like 5 or 6 years in now, and it's I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a crazy ride, and many, many more years to come, hopefully.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I'm sure.
that's just a rundown, pretty much.
That's cool, man. And you're up in Maine. That so yeah, you guys probably get some cold weather in the winter, so you can't
Oh
really play
yeah.
too much, right? And you guys
Um,
don't have big
there
events in the winter,
there are some
are
fields
there?
that stay open throughout the winter, and they play run and guns,
Hmm.
which is what a lot of fields up here do.
Hmm.
And in the greater New England area, they do mostly run and guns. Our fields actually do what we call like operations, which are kind of like mini milsims, uh, not quite as extravagant and fancy, but they have objectives and they have big factions, and it's a big force on force event. And sadly, we don't do that in the winter because our field closes. Because I don't
Yeah.
like playing in the cold. A
No,
few other
most
people
people
don't like
don't.
playing in the
The
cold.
batteries don't stay charged very long. The cold just zaps the batteries. If you're
Yeah,
using a gas blowback, forget it. Okay.
it's for
It's
me a big fear is breaking my rifles in the cold because they're made out of a term that we use in my friend group called Chinesium. They're made out of Chinesium pot metal.
that's what it
Unless you
is.
spend a lot of money and get like a CNC receiver and shell and whatnot.
Right.
But that's a huge fear of mine is breaking replicas in the
I'm
winter due
sure.
to the cold.
Yeah, especially when you put a lot of money into the upgrades and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Thousands at this point, I'm sure.
So you're in Maine. I'm going to put, so what'll happen is, and I forgot to mention this when I was doing the intro, but the tip I was going to give you guys, anyone that doesn't know yet about my Discord, is that I started a there's individual channels on the Discord for each state and each country that I've had the guests on from. So yours, this podcast here, will go under the main channel under
Yeah.
Maine or whatever. So that, and then whoever's in Florida, that goes in Florida. So the reason I'm doing that, shout out to Balrog Zeb for suggesting that for me when him and I talked last time a couple months ago. It's been a really cool thing that I've been working on to do. I haven't finished all of them, all 300 something episodes yet, as far as putting them in there. But I put a lot in there and in the appropriate section. So if you're going, how that could be helpful is if you're going to go to another state for an event, or you're going to another state for vacation or work or something, and you're like, man, I wonder if there's what's around there or in that city or wherever that person's from. You can, or whatever state you're going to, you can look up that podcast. You can listen to it while you're driving or at work or whatever, or watch the video, either one, and find out about the fields around there and who to get in contact with. You can also reach out to that person because on that link for that podcast, I have all of their social stuff and how to get it, in touch with them. So one of the purposes of the podcast is connect the airsoft community through these, through this to get people's stories out there and also make connections through that as well. So anyway, so yeah, this one will go under Maine, and you'll be in there with a whole plethora of, what do you call somebody from Mainite? What do you call it?
Mainer?
Mainer? Is
Mainer.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A Maina bub.
Mainer. Listen here, Mainer. Yeah, actually, that's how you hit me up, was through the main
Yeah.
channel on the website. Shoot, I forgot, or on the Discord channel. I forgot about that.
Because Matty Mo yelled at me to
Yes,
go
he
talk to
did.
you.
Shout out Matty Mo and the Mo Bros. I love that dude. Yep.
I know he hits me and the guys up for like travel games all the time and like
Mm-hmm.
Mill Sims in New York and stuff.
Nice.
And I'm such a homebody. I'm like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, it is. It's well, when you're working all the time, and it takes a big commitment to travel for an air, a 3 day,
Yeah,
2.5 day airsoft event. It
huge,
really does.
huge.
Yep.
We had planned to go to Mass for Autumn Justice, which is a Stag Ops event, which you've
Mm-hmm.
heard of them. And I think you've actually done an episode with Gordon.
Yep.
Cool dude. Um, but then my father passed away, so I didn't really get to organize that. And so some of my guys are actually going with some of the other local airsoft guys that go to the field. So some of them are going. I missed the opportunity on that one. But we'll probably catch, many other Stag Ops games next year, like Spring Offensive, probably gonna do Claw Hammer again, and then maybe even Autumn Justice, because they are somewhat local, a few hours of travel isn't too bad.
Yeah, that's not
Um,
terrible.
and I do like and enjoy playing Mill Sims. I just have a hard time traveling. I'm not much of a traveler.
Yeah.
So we did do a trip to Ballahack last January, February. I think it was February.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome experience. And we want to make it a yearly type of deal because we like playing down there. It's like quite a bit of fun.
Yeah.
A little different than what we do. Next time we go, we want to go to like a big event. We went to like a regular run and gun day, and it wasn't
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
super impressive as far as gameplay goes, but like
Right.
just being there with like 300 people was pretty awesome. So
That's pretty cool for just a regular run and gun day.
yeah, it was one of their bigger days in their off season. Actually, it was pretty rad. It was
Yeah.
pretty dope.
Yeah. Some of their events are really getting like kind of famous, like
Yeah,
well known,
huge.
and the Rev event is, much talked about. I've heard about that was one of the first ones I heard about. Actually, I had seen some videos. I mean, I learned a lot about a lot of different bigger channels and people and stuff in the airsoft community that post videos and everything before I even started the podcast. But I didn't really know a lot of the detail stuff about some of the events until I started doing podcasts because I had gone to a couple events myself as press and stuff, but I'm hearing all these stories from like detailed stories about what's going on, what was there, who was there, they had helicopters, they had this, we rode on the back of that, these individual stories that really filled in all the blanks of, I wonder what happens over here. I wonder how they run an event. I wonder how that person, what they do for that event. And, man, I love to see or hear about all these different, cool stories and like the backstory or the lore in that, is going on in that event, the characters and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool, man. So I've learned a lot. You said something earlier about, you like to write some of the story stuff for events.
Yes.
Okay.
We do some of my stuff has like a loose storyline.
Hmm.
My games usually focus a lot on gameplay mechanics because
Gotcha.
that's usually my specialty. Like we have like a whole like review board for games. So we will see people will send in because we actually like people will send in their games that they want to do, like local guys, and then we will look at them and be like, okay, this is a great idea. Let's make it work better in airsoft.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like, this is completely crazy. We can never do this, but let's try.
Yeah.
Like we at least have a blanket or a net to not just throw stuff up. And we also help the guy who does the running of the games because he does way too much for one person to handle. So we want to help him as best we can. But
Yeah.
I've written a lot of games. I just did one that I wrote like 2 weeks ago, and that was a stalker themed event, which was pretty cool. Didn't go as I planned,
Yeah.
but everyone had a good time. So like it was a win. I'm gonna rework it for next year.
Hmm.
I have a few games that I like do every other year or something, and I make a new iteration of it.
Yeah.
Like I actually made I think my first game I wrote was a warfighter game. Like it was actually called and based after my team.
Yeah.
And then I created another one after that, and it has like a pseudo storyline in it where it's kind of like the objectives and the theme will change based on who wins.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I
So
enjoy it.
this is the exclusion zone, the stalker event you were just talking about, or
Yeah.
stalker based event. So stalker, for anyone that doesn't know, is a badass, creepy vibe kind of thing going on with the video game from years and years ago. The original one was years and years ago, but it's definitely got like a cult following because that game was badass, and there's something creepy about the which you can see here in this picture. Anyone that's watching on here, that I got the screen pulled up. This gas mask looking thing with the garb that they have on, the gear that they have on. Yeah, it was a fun game to play, but it was yeah, it's kind of creepy sometimes.
Yeah, it was an interesting endeavor to try to adapt it to Airsoft as
Yeah,
a person who had never played the video game. It was just before my time, sadly, and I was
sure.
never a PC gamer. I was always a console guy, so like we
Yeah,
didn't that j- didn't the exposure didn't happen. But
right.
I brought in guys that had played the game and knew the lore, and I was like, "How do we do this?
Yeah,
Like, I know Airsoft, you know this game. Like, let's work on this and make
there
it
you go.
work."
So what'd
Um,
you do for it?
so usually our games are two big factions fighting each other over objectives.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, we have two big factions, Duty and Freedom, which are like rivals, like arch enemies in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, they'll fight each other. That makes sense. And I was like, okay, but we can't ignore Monolith, which is like almost like a fan favorite group of enemies in the game. And they're very legendary. So I was like, okay, Monolith, that's cool. I was like, how do I incorporate those into the game?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're a very interesting character in the game where they're kind of like sort of brainwashed by the zone itself, or better, like the sea consciousness, which is kind of what caused the zone. So I was like, okay, they're not friends with anyone. They want to kill everyone because they're there to defend what everyone's trying to destroy and get to the heart of. And so I made them a invite only third faction. So like a small group of players that was headed by myself personally,
Yeah.
just to make sure that the third faction doesn't mess up the game too much. And it went well. Monolith was in charge of escorting high value assets around the field, which I coined the term artifact because in the game, an artifact is like an extremely interesting, powerful, uh, supernaturally imbued object, which is valued by the military and all these survivor groups
Mm-hmm.
and stalkers that are in the zone. So I was like, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. And then what else did I do? I made a trading post.
Oh, nice.
So that's how you actually scored objectives. You had to bring them to the trading post, interact with a merchant, and sell these goods. And the regular like assets that were just kind of scattered around the AO like the day prior were like ammo cans, medical crates, rice bags. Like
Mm.
they were actual like supplies that you would use and trade with and barter with. So that made sense. And it was a lot of fun. I kind of did an oversight for the game
Yeah.
because this is the Coles field,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like a freshly kind of new field that the guy that runs the main field in our area, Harris, decided to help the owner of this land who loves airsoft. And he was like, "Hey, I'll put on events here, and I'll write them, and I'll come out and I'll have a good time."
Yeah.
And so But the thing about that is that he didn't want to do the pre-registration ticket system that we have at the other field.
Mm.
You never know who's going to show up until day of, unless you reach out personally.
Ooh.
And so trying to find leadership for these games, because we run, mini milsim. We have commanding officers, we have executive officers, we have squad leaders. And usually they just share it in name. The CO or commanding officer is really the guy that, hopefully is a veteran airsofter that has read the op order
Mm-hmm.
and at least has an idea of what's going on and he can coordinate the battlefield. But sometimes that just doesn't happen at all.
Sure.
And I didn't pick any leadership for the game because it just completely flew over my head.
Mm.
And so I didn't have any good leaders
Yeah.
for the op. And so no one really understood what the objectives were
Oh,
or
okay.
what to do with them,
Yeah.
which was a big hindrance in the game
Mm-hmm.
to have a major game mechanic that no one knew how to use.
Right.
So there's actually a point in the middle of the game where I was dead, and the two main factions were fighting over. Here, can you scroll up to the map? I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. It's probably
Oh yeah, right
down, I
here.
think. Yeah. So zoom in to the bridge area over by Eustis. Down a little bit, down to the left. Oh, over there. So yeah, main bridge is going to be that orange flag directly. Yeah. So that due to the dynamic at this field, because it has a
Mm-hmm.
big open valley with Christmas trees in it, which is
Oh
very cool.
wow.
And
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
be fun to play with.
Sure.
That bridge area becomes the major crossing point to
Okay.
get to the north or south side of the field,
Gotcha.
and it became that becomes usually a gridlock area
Yep.
where the two factions will be fighting all day.
Mm-hmm.
However, it moved up the hill to Drum, which is the base just on top of the hill right above the bridge, and that was the major contention point. So I happened to die right outside of it, and I walked up to the faction players that had just taken the base, and I looked at them, saw that there was three scoreable props just lying next to them, and I'm like, "Hey, you guys know that if you bring that to the trading post, you can get score, right?" And they had no idea, absolutely
Oh,
no idea.
yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, this is okay. This is how this is gonna go."
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's too
but
bad.
I also had a lot of other secrets written into the game.
Yeah.
Like there was an entire role player that would give quests that just wasn't in the op order, and that was an intentional because I wanted to try to emulate that kind of open world like RPG feel where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go out here and I know I'm gonna get shot at and I'm gonna get in a firefight, and then you see someone just walking around in a lab coat with like no gun, and you're like, what is this person doing? Like, who are you?
Yeah, can I shoot them? What do they do? Like what
It's like,
happens?
so it's like I wanted it to be the player's job to go up and interact with these people and
Mm-hmm.
interact with the world of the game itself and learn that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't have the veteran players and leadership to take advantage of that.
Tell their team, hey,
Um,
let's go do this. Yeah.
yeah, the role player got ignored for like three-quarters of the game, and it was rather depressing. Because there
Oh,
was
that's
three
cool.
quests, and at the
Yeah.
end of the third quest, it was a game altering completion.
Yeah.
So I actually opened a whole new objective point by the pond for both factions to fight over once someone
Mm.
completed that final quest. And
Okay.
they did end up completing it, actually. It was cool. A
Yeah.
little late in the game for it to be really useful.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from that game. It was a very ambitious game with a lot of different objectives and even more that I haven't even told you. So next time in the online briefing that you're looking at now, I'm going to clearly outline
Yeah.
all of the people, what they do, you know, so people can read it and understand so that they can utilize the beautifully written things I've put in the game.
Have you ever tried doing videos? to
I,
explain the different roles and characters and rules?
that's a really clever idea.
You know who does that? Is 6 millimeter Mandalorian runs events out in like Wisconsin area and stuff in Minnesota area, and he has this one event that is called Galactic Civil War. It's a Star Wars based event, or themed, I should say, and he does a lot of short videos to explain the different like so let's say your trading post, right? Like
Yeah,
he would film in front of that and have somebody actually go through the act of turning this in and then cha-ching, something pops up on the screen kind of thing for their team or something, right? It's really it's really done well, like the way he does it.
yeah, that's
It's an
actually
idea,
really stupid clever, and I'm upset I didn't think of that because I would
No,
have done that, and
dude,
it would have
I would have
helped
never thought of it.
immensely. Well, it's funny
Well, not
because
only that, it takes a lot of work, man. It takes some
oh
work.
yeah, for
Like
sure.
you gotta get it together. You gotta go to the field if you want to film it there. You don't have to, but you could have props, or you could just put them in the background, or just a picture of it and pull up on screen. But somebody's got to edit that video and put all that stuff in there. You've got to go through a script, like, okay, what do you want to go over here? Short little chunks. Those little short videos really help if you want to explain like one thing. That way, people don't watch a 20-minute video and forget everything they saw in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I like that a lot,
Yeah,
actually. I know it's like I have a GoPro. Like I could literally take photos or take videos if I wanted to.
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
I think I'll
definitely.
do that for next year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do something for your next one. I mean, this is a learning process, man. You're young, you're starting out doing helping to run some of these events. I like the setup on this map. Um,
Oh, dude,
it's cool.
the guy that manages these fields, Omega, he's so detail oriented.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Like all the stuff he does, and the map's one of them.
gotcha.
Like he does a different map for every single op with their
Okay.
objectives and everything else.
This
It's
is cool,
so
man.
intensive.
So Cole's Airsoft is the field.
One of the two. So Coles, I think, opened last year, like majorly. They
Hmm.
were open before that, like for little run and gun stuff. But Harris is the one that's been open for a very long time, for many
Okay.
years.
And where's that at? Is that this one? No, that's Cole's. Oh,
Harris is
so the
probably,
Cole's was just for this event. The Harris one, you've done other events there?
yeah, yeah. I do
Okay.
events at both fields.
Hmm.
So Harris has its own management team and Omega, who's like the head, like community aspect of it. Coles doesn't really have that structure,
Yeah.
at least yet, but it's been some of the veteran players who really like the field that have stepped in to try to kind of curate and grow the field. So Omega's doing like the event side of it, and me and a few other veterans are coming in. We're doing the smaller stuff like helping running chrono, helping set up
Mm.
like leadership and building at the field and all the other smaller stuff.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, I was seeing if there's a
A
one of these
event,
events thing that was for
probably not.
what you call it for Harris or whatever.
I don't usually typically share it, but you're yeah, I'd say join the Maine Airsoft page, and that would give you all the information you need. But you're probably not going to be able to do that right now.
Yeah.
But you could look up Harris Farm Airsoft. It's right down the street from Coles. They're right next to each other. Funny
Oh,
enough,
okay. Yeah, I'll
and
have
that
to
will
check
pull
it
up
out.
everything there.
Oh yeah.
Very different fields, very different style,
Yeah.
whole different AO.
I got your
Lots of
GoPro. I mean your
structures.
GoPro. Your YouTube channel pulled up.
Yeah, it's a
We might as
little.
well call all airsoft YouTube channels. We might as well call them GoPro channels, okay? Because that's what everybody's using.
It does a good job. It really does. The GoPro does a pretty good job.
Yeah, man.
I just upgraded from a 9 to a 12,
Ooh.
and I'm actually going to be out doing I'm running another event this Saturday, at least the airsoft portion of it. It's a fundraiser for young Marines, I believe.
Hmm.
and the lady needed someone to do the airsoft side of it at the
Oh,
Coles
that's cool.
Field. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll take care of it because no one else knows anything about airsoft.
You're talking about the Young Marines group,
I think it's local stuff, whatever
right?
it is. It's fundraising for local
Because
military
they
related
actually,
stuff.
the Marine Corps actually has a group called the Young Marines, and
Oh,
it's like,
really?
yeah. So my son was in it, and they didn't have it when I was growing up, but at least not that I knew of in my area. We had was a delayed entry program. You could go into, sign up at 16 or whatever, and do all kind of pulley meetings and that kind of shit. But so they actually have a thing. We have it in South Carolina as well. It's called the Young Marines, and you can go into it when you're. I think he was like 13 or something, 12 or 13. And so
Wow,
it's kind of
that's
like
young.
the ROTC type of thing, but uh, just Marine specific, Marine Corps specific. So, uh, yeah, and they've got their own like swag and apparel and all kind of stuff too. They run out of typically they'll run out of your local reserve centers, like for Army or for Navy or Marines. So yeah, and they do all the basic stuff that we did. They're getting together and learn how to march and learn how to line up in formation and learn what camis are and boots and utes and all that kind of shit. Okay, and how to run in boots. You know,
Yeah, I don't know the exact specifics of it. The information on the event itself has been kind of lackluster.
yeah,
So I'm gonna hopefully work with the lady. I think her son is enlisting or is
gotcha.
already partially enlisted and doing something, or it's military related.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna work with her in the future to try to make a more informed, well put together event.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that.
So I got this. You were speaking of the Harris Field. This is one of your videos from your. I got your YouTube channel pulled up, and this is one of the videos from Storming the Swamps of Harris. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming it's from the. Yeah,
this is a D-Day event that we do like every year, every other year.
yeah.
And they did a big old speech and a bunch of like role play funny shenanigans where I think the guy that's reading is reading the excerpt from Eisenhower, I believe it is, the president during World War II. I have
Mm,
terrible history. Um, and he gets like I think assassinated by some Nazi leader,
yeah,
and they've got this big old like oh, it's just like a leaf blower, like an electric leaf blower with a
yeah.
bucket on top, and they put like cheese balls and stuff in there, and they just spray it at the crowd.
Oh, that's
It's
funny, dude.
really goofy.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
but usually D-Day pulls quite a big crowd. And this year we've been I don't know the specifics as to why, but we've been blessed with really good attendance this year. We've had
Hmm.
like almost 100 players for every event, which is crazy for Hodunk, Maine, to be
You
honest.
guys are doing good, man. That's good. Well, airsoft in general, I feel like from everyone I'm talking to around the world is growing. Like these events are having everyone I've talked with, they're all having good turnouts at some of these bigger events, like the milsim stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. There's probably a bunch of like eco political economy reasons, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
can't
into
even
that.
speculate either.
I can't speculate
The only thing
either.
I can, well, I guess I can. Okay. So I take that back. I can't speculate. I'm thinking that guys getting, guys and girls that are sitting in their, like, they're coming out of middle school, they're going into high school, they have been playing video games for a long time now. Like, this has been going on, this type
Yeah.
of lifestyle has been going on for quite some time. Okay. And people are getting bored. So they're like, man, I want to go outside and do something. I want a hobby. And I don't want my hobby to be sitting in front of this TV screen or computer screen or whatever for the console or PC or whatever. I'm tired of it. What can I do that's exciting? And there's not a whole lot of options when you get a little older. Like, okay, so what are you going to do with your friends when you're 15, 16? Well, we could go to laser tag. We can go to Frankie's Fun Park, which we have, close to here in South Carolina. It's like go-karts and all that kind of stuff. You're going to drop a shit ton of money, okay? But it is fun. But that's one time. You can't go there every weekend, okay? And
Yeah.
by the way, when you leave, you don't have some kind of like passionate drive to build up some gear that you can take to the next time you go to Frankie's Fun Park for the go-karts. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not there so when you leave there, if you don't go back for 2 months, now you're just kind of like staring at the screen again, playing some video games, okay? Like scrolling and scrolling through dumb TikTok videos. And so my guess is look at these videos, bro. Look at this guy. He's spraying those things out like you're talking about. This is fucking badass. This guy's got a big hopper built onto the leaf blower thing.
Yeah, that's Fruit Loops.
That is freaking amazing. What a great idea. So you see videos like this and they're like, I want to be a part of that. So they're getting their shit out of their house and they're going out and doing these things and becoming a part of and listen, once they go and become part of the community, it's done. Like they're
Yeah,
done. They're done for their whole life. You're going to be sucked into this thing, spending all your money on airsoft stuff.
that's exactly what happened to me. I am that kid. I am that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. But I mean, this looks fun as hell. Like anyone that sees this video in Maine that is around your area within a reasonable driving distance, who would not want to look?
Eat
I'm
cheese balls in the
15 or
briefing.
whatever. Like, mom, dad, take me to this field. I want to go to this thing. And then you show them and they're like, wow, that looks fun. Okay. Like you get all your stuff together and head out there. Even if you have a cheesy ass piece of crap gun that you start with that barely works, it misfeeds, it doesn't work right. It's just dot, 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 and then like only one BB comes out, whatever. You're still going to have fun at this thing.
Oh, this is back when I for some of my more in-depth games, I actually did breakdowns of what the game was and what objective we were chasing and
Yeah, it's a good video, man.
but I'm trying to think of a good video that showed off the field itself
Yeah.
because we do have structures and we do have everything else. We obviously have swamps. That's a thing.
I would have never thought swamps would be in Maine.
Yeah, actually, who would have known? They're not as swampy as the Ballahack swamps. All right, those swamps are
Right.
very wet. We
Uh,
just have mud, and
yeah.
we have two different types of mud at Harris. We have like normal mud where like you can walk in it and you're fine,
Hmm.
and then there's this like some like comedy movie mud pits, and I coined the term the Harris Mud Monster. And I've played there long enough that I can see the two different there's two different tells to the mud, right? There's one that you're gonna be fine in, and then there's one that if you step in it, you're going waist deep in stinky swamp water.
The
And
sludge.
there's been one time where it was after the game, we were walking off the field, and a kid was stuck waist deep in the mud with no one there to help him.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "No, I need help." So we had to help him out of the mud. There was another time where I was a second man in a column, and the guy was in front of me was leading the path, leading the column. And so he was about to step in a thing of mud, and I looked down and I saw the mud,
Yeah.
and I knew it was that mud. And so I was just about to say, "Don't step there," and he just went whole leg just in the swamp, and I
Oh,
was just like, "That's unfortunate." But you did actually, if you go back in the video, you saw where the buildings were, probably right around where you were at 11. That's like the focal point of the field, which is called the Mat Complex,
okay.
the giant building. And our buildings are kind of very like airsoft buildings made out of
Sure.
plywood, and they don't have roofs and they're not fancy, but it's a big CQB compound essentially with
Hmm.
windows and doors and everything else.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
and it's as the years have gone on, and as me and the guys and other people seeing us doing it, they're stepping up, and a lot of us are starting to build more at the field. So it's actually becoming more built up and more building oriented.
Yeah.
So a lot more CQB, as to where the other field, the Coles field, where I had my stalker event, it's more woods bally because it's not as built up, and the structures we build there aren't like these. They're completely different,
Gotcha.
different style.
This little thing right here where there's guys running through, uh, on the side here, is this like chicken wire? Like
It is.
fencing?
It's fencing. Yeah.
How many times have people run into this thing, bro, without seeing it? It's got to be
Not that
at
I've
least
ever
more
seen.
than once. Really?
Not that I've ever seen. No.
And it's probably just the camera. Like it doesn't show up as well on camera.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it through your screen recording, and it is terrible quality.
No,
So,
that's probably from no, the
the
quality's
bigger
good.
issue is actually people shooting through the fence. That's the biggest issue. It's because like you'll like think you're shooting at someone, and you're just like your BBs are hitting the fence and just bouncing
Oh
off.
yeah,
Oh, I
just
get a fucking
splitting apart or
sweet pistol kill here.
glancing off. Yeah.
Freaking love this. Traded with the guy.
Nice.
It was awesome. I've been working on my pistol skills.
Okay. What do you run? So what kind of gear you run? So is that your gun right there on the ground?
That's one of my many,
Okay.
many guns. And my guys always make fun of me because I've always had a lot of them because I like buying them and I like seeing if they're good, but all of my stuff is very upgraded. I used to do it myself, and then I ran into some issues that I couldn't figure out. And
Yeah.
there's a veteran of the field that used to play at another field up north that doesn't exist anymore.
Hmm.
So he's been doing it for a while, and he's been teching since the dawn of his airsoft career.
Yeah.
He's very good at it. Very the best tech I know that I've seen. And so he does all my guns now
Now, do you
because
have do you want to do you have any around you can show off or
I
do you have a
do
video?
actually.
Okay.
I do. And it's a very special one actually. There's a story to it.
Ooh, all right, all right. Let's do it.
I don't know if my camera's wide enough to pick it up, but or if it's light enough, probably not.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, you know what? You know what? I think it auto
No,
adjusts,
it's
but
going. It's going. You could turn off the blur.
I'm not sure if it's still blurred or not.
Okay.
Let's see if I hold it right. The camera's
There you
wide
go.
enough.
Some light. Yeah, there you go.
So this, and I don't know if you probably can't read the
Shorty.
inscriptions on the side of it. Yes. Actually, let me hold it.
Shorty
Maybe like this.
softer.
So it's
1970. Yeah.
Shorty, 1970 to 2024. That was my father's nickname, and me and my buddies in his late airsoft career, he would just like to sit at a base and do nothing. So we would make the joke and call him a chair softer because that's what he was. So the guy that actually builds all my rifles, when I found out about my father, I told him I wanted to keep his rifle. So this is my father's favorite. This was his favorite rifle. It's a Novritsch SSR 15. So Novritsch doesn't make them anymore,
Dude, that's awesome.
and he swore by this gun. It was okay, but not. It wasn't an upgraded gun. Like
Yeah.
not like I run. So I'd make fun of him all the time, and I'd tell him to upgrade it, and he said no. So sadly,
That's
it's
awesome that
upgraded
you have
now.
it though, man. That's cool.
Yeah. And the story is that when Swift is his call sign, uh, I work with him now, so he got me a job working with him and the guy that he works for. When he found out, big heavy chair, he pulled some strings with some people in the community, and he took care of that gun at no cost to myself. So everything he did to it was completely free for me.
Yeah.
So I got it back, and I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm actually planning on taking it out this weekend, because it's a veterans fundraiser, and so I'm gonna play with it, and then I'm gonna do a little memorial thing at the end with whatever footage I have, and I'm gonna throw something together. It's gonna be really really sweet. But
That's awesome, dude.
I love that thing. That thing's awesome. But I have many other guns. I have my M16, which you saw in the D-Day video.
Hmm.
I have a Dytac Mark 18 knockoff. It's not a Mark 18, at least DE license, but
Yeah,
it is the Mark 18 length and the rail system similar, but their own thing. It's M-LOK and it's got the block at the back. It's not a Mark 18, but it's labeled as one.
yeah.
And so that's been upgraded. I have a Ditec AK, which is SLR licensed, and it has a CNC body. It's nice. I also have an RPK that was thrown together with scrap parts, which not working currently, which makes sense. I also have a really nice AK, which is a SEMA body, and then I threw on a bunch of extra stuff. So it has a LCT wood stock because their wood furniture is better. I
Yeah,
bought the real steel palmetto shark fin front end, the lower, with the M-LOK slots in the wood. So
that's
it's
cool.
kind of modern, old schooly type of deal. And I
Hmm.
did a railed gas block. It's in the other room. I could go grab it, but I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
But all these guns have been upgraded, and over the
Do you have any of
past,
these guns in any of your videos?
I do. The AK is in Pro League 6, the recent Pro League video, which is like our competitive tournament game that we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, Pro League 6. I think my AK's in that one. The my new primary AK that's been sitting. Oh no, is it my M16? Was I running my M16 for that?
Yeah, that's your
Oh, it would have
M16.
been. It was Tarkov. My bad. They're both squad based, slightly competitive games, so I got them totally mixed up.
That's
It'd
fine.
be more recent than Pro League, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's a 6 millimeter Tarkov. Yeah, bottom left. Yep.
There
That
we
one has
go.
my new primary AK, which is the one with
Ah,
the wood front end, and you're probably not going to see it very much. You might. I do like set it against a tree when me and him
yeah.
push this base.
Right here, though. Look, let me go right before. Here we go.
Yeah, you
Almost.
might. Nah, just barely.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't upload like cool gun videos of my
How
stuff.
dare you? What about on your Facebook?
No, 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 not even there. I don't even do that anymore. I used to upload photos of stuff. I just don't. I'm too busy now.
Yeah.
I will do gun reviews though,
Okay.
but of more of like stock guns, not my personal stuff,
Yeah.
because a lot of airsoft guns are kind of shit, and I want to make sure players don't buy terrible guns and then they have a terrible experience because
You
I've
know,
been there,
this,
done that.
yeah, there's a channel. Those are very helpful, by the way. Those videos are very helpful, by the way. But there's a channel called The Negative Airsofter
Yep, I
out of the
love
UK.
him. He's fantastic.
He's fantastic, dude. He does, when I first started our channel and because we were doing reviews after the unboxings, it was, I found him and I was like, I love how this guy, I invited him on the podcast. When I first started the podcast, I invited him on. He's like, man, it's not really my thing. Okay. I'm just going
Oh
to talk shit the
man,
whole time. I was like, yeah, that's what I want. So I needed to reach out to him again for real, for real.
I would watch and listen to that episode
So
in a
what I need to
heartbeat.
do is I need to reach out to him and say, hey, I've got a handful of guns here that I want to talk about. And I want your honest
Um,
opinion on them. Can we record it as a podcast?
there you go. That
I
might that
think he would
might that
like
might get
that.
him to bite.
That'd be cool shit. So yeah, those are helpful, man.
I want to do them because I see like a bunch of people make videos on them, but like a lot of them are like airsoft players that are perfectly content to grab a gun and go play.
Yeah,
Like I
I
want
was.
someone who
No.
does the work on these things and understands these things at like an intricate level so that they can look you in the eye and be like, yeah, no, this gun's good or this gun's bad.
Hmm.
Not just like, oh yeah, it's good for, hoodie rentals as we call them at our field.
So
People
this
who just don't
was
know anything.
pretty much our reviews. Most of our reviews were pretty short. Like they were. We didn't do a whole lot of testing on the gun. We would, we take it out of the box. Of course, we had the unboxing video, and then the review video was separate, and we would go take it outside. Uh, First, we would make sure it actually works out of the box.
Yeah.
Sometimes it didn't, and then I'm like, well, this is going to be. We could make that video. We could say, hey, this is one we got out of the box. And the thing was, we'd already posted the unboxing video, so it's already up. It's not like I could add to it, a short 60-second spot saying, "Hey, we tried to test it, but it's effed up, so we're gonna have to do something else, whatever." But so we could go through the whole process of trying to review it, like all the features on it, but and then just say, "Hey, we tried to shoot it and it was effed up," uh, or we could just not do a video on it because that would be like a minute and a half video. If
Yeah.
if you can't
Yeah.
shoot it, what's the point of watching it? Like, what the hell? So anyway, we weren't trying to just not show that the gun was shit out of the box. It was, or that we got a shitty one. We just it's not an easy way to do that. I guess if we made a short video, but shorts weren't really popular 5 years ago for
Dude,
YouTube. I don't even
I've
think they were a
been
thing 5 years ago.
I've been meaning to try to do some shorts, and I
Yeah,
just keep forgetting because I know that that's like the biggest way to grow a channel is to do on shorts because YouTube's pushing short
yeah.
content quite a bit,
Hmm.
and I just haven't done it. I think
They are nice, man.
when
They're
I go
really
to
helpful.
do the end of the year highlights, I have a bunch of clips that I can splice up into a
There
really
you go.
short form video and put it on there.
Yeah, when I first started doing the shorts, somebody had suggested it. Same thing. Like I was like, I'm not going to do these shorts, whatever. And they were like, oh no, you could take some of your content you already have and just kind of cut it up. So I was like, all right. So I did like some of the bloopers that we had, the funny stuff.
Yeah,
Those were fun. Those were fun to cut up and put into a short. But yeah, it's cool.
I do that at the end of every single one of my video. I grab whatever funny moments I had and I do a blooper reel at the end of my videos.
I love that. So when did you start the channel? Or do you run the channel yourself?
Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay. So
it's
did you start this team
technically
then?
yes, yeah, I did. So
Okay.
it's technically a team channel.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly me that posts because I the only one that really records and edits and cares about it.
Yeah.
But I have some guys that run GoPros, and if I told them, if you want to throw it up on the channel, or if you want me to edit your footage and throw it up on the channel, I have a playlist dedicated to my other teammates, like
Hmm.
uh, point of views or their gameplay, or
Yeah.
like right now, I think I only have one of my other guys that didn't play this year really, but he went to Battle Hack with us, and he had a video and he threw it up on the channel. So.
Okay.
Actually, that's incorrect. My teammate Oracle, he does night vision and thermal,
Mm-hmm.
so he will throw up night vision and thermal clips on the channel
Ooh,
as well.
nice.
Actually, there is a night vision video on the channel from
Mm-hmm.
our preseason training event we did at the Coles Field.
Nice.
But I like doing the videos, and if you can't tell, you might be too old. When I was growing up, when I was
Oh,
growing
that's
up,
awesome.
it was the videos that we would watch were really stupid, and it was a lot
Yeah.
of the like MLG Call of Duty edits with the goofy sound effects and the
Yeah.
goofy visuals. And I was like, when I went to go make a YouTube channel, I was like, I'm doing that. Like that was my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hilarious. I did it.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of my stuff, especially my thumbnails and some of the more voice clip stuff you see in the videos, is just goofy because that's just what I like. Depending on the game, some games I might do a more serious take. Other times it'll be goofy. It's a mix of the two, but best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like it, man. So when you were so you got an airsoft young, and then did you have any other hobbies at the time?
Um,
Did you play sports? Were you into clubs or something at school? Did you play
so yeah,
chess or something?
in high school, I did sports through like eighth grade, freshman year, and sophomore.
Yeah.
And then once it hit sophomore year, I don't know if I got asked or if I went out for a tryout, but I started doing the school theater program. And so I got pretty heavily involved with that, enough so that I dropped sports and I just focused on that because it was very time consuming and took a lot of energy.
Sure.
So I did that through school and other hobbies. I've been a gamer for my whole life, so
Yeah.
I play video games. But other than that, most hobbies have just gone away, and it's just airsoft.
Oh yeah.
Takes way too much time.
Right. I mean, it's a lot of investment. Uh, I mean, it's something you'd like too. I mean, that's the thing. Then once you get
Oh
on
yeah,
these and you have a channel, and then once you have a team, and once you get into your own like socials or whatever, or you find others that you join, it's like now, we were talking earlier, like Matty Mo hits you up, right? He's going to hit you up and say, hey, what are you guys doing here? Or are you guys going to this? So there's always something going on that kind of pulls you in. So it's never boring. That's the thing.
yeah, no, never boring. And I want to do. I wish I could do more of the bigger travel stuff and try to kind of, like Matty Mo or Peanut does, where they do all this traveling and they're kind of a big name. And
Hmm.
it's like I found my home in my fields, and so it's like they're kind of like big scale. I feel like I'm little scale, and so it's like I'm trying to make my fields the best that I can make them
Yeah.
to hopefully maybe one day attract these big event producers to come do these big events that we would travel for, but
Yeah.
do it at our fields where it's close to home. And so I've done more of like a community focus. Like I've done the training events. We do a raffle at Harris at the end of every game. Me and my dad and my team, we started that. We
Okay.
did a raffle and a giveaway, and then Omega was like, that's a really good idea. I want to give back to players, so we started doing it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. I was like, that's great.
Mhm. That is
So
cool.
I've been working really hard to grow the local community and try my best to take up the mantle that is Southern Maine Airsoft.
Yeah.
Because the guy that currently is doing it is not getting any younger. So
Yeah. Nobody
someone's got to
is.
help and eventually fill those
Unfortunately.
shoes. But
Yeah.
no,
Well, that sounds cool, man. Yeah, you
it's
got a lot going on. It's cool. It does take a lot of time, especially when you're running a channel, like a airsoft channel. Editing gameplay. I mean, one thing you have to be kind of creative. You have to come up with an idea like, how do I want to put this together? Because, we've all seen the videos where somebody just kind of throws up their GoPro footage from their helmet of them running through and playing,
yeah, it can be a little
and
boring.
they'll throw a song on it, typically like a rap song or something, okay? And then it's and that's pretty much it. But to put in like what we went through earlier, some of your videos we went through where you're putting overlays of the map, like you're doing some real editing, right? Adding some of that stuff to add to the video for information or context. I mean, it takes time. And then you've got time that your computer takes to run that GoPro footage, bro. That stuff, those GoPro videos are huge files.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Oh my gosh. Like what was the first time you let's see. What's your first video here? Let's go
I think
all the way
I
back.
I think I started doing 1080. I had
Yeah.
toyed with 4K and then I was advised to do 1080. And then I did 1080 and I was like, this shit's whack. It looks terrible. I'm going to 4K. I don't care what you say. And so I did 4K,
Yeah.
and then now I'm like, 4K isn't enough. I'm going to 5.3K at 60 frames, going even bigger. I don't even know if it'll show up on YouTube if you can watch it in 5K. Don't care. I'm doing it. I want to
Bro.
produce the best product I can put out, in my skills and in my hardware. But also just for airsoft in general, I was doing 4K at 30. I had capability to do 4K 60. I didn't for some reason. I tried it and then I hit a wall somewhere and I said, I'll just do 30, whatever. It's not that big a
Okay.
deal. And then I went tested 4K 60, didn't hit a wall recently. So I don't know if it was just a knowledge gap or if I was
Mm.
stupid. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
remember. So I'm assuming 5.3 at 60 will go perfectly fine and I won't run into any walls, but we'll see. I'll be recording this weekend on the new GoPro. But the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second when you're doing an action cam is absolutely ginormous. It's
Yeah.
huge. It's double the frames per second. So you could see the flight path of BBs insanely better, and you can actually see, if you're close up or if you're at medium distance, you can see where they're flying, where they hit even. And the 12 can do 4K at 120, I believe. I don't know if that's slow mo or if that's just constant,
Hmm.
which is cool, but I want to see what 5K looks like. I'm really intrigued to see if that makes a difference in quality, especially at a distance,
Yeah.
which I doubt it will because GoPros aren't really made for that, at least in wide lens, which is what you would want to run for an action cam.
Exactly.
But the
This one looks good. What was this
GoPro,
filmed in?
I will know when you show me.
Oh shit. Oh my God. I thought I was sharing the screen. Holy cow. My
You
bad.
can tell me what it is, and I might know, to be honest.
Uh, that's hilarious. I'm sitting here
Oh,
like,
this
yeah.
one's 4K 30. So this is my
Okay.
newest one, 4K 30. I
Okay.
just got my new GoPro for this week's gameplay. That's going to be shot in 5K.
Okay. So
Um,
anyone not watching, if you get a chance after you're done driving or working, if you want to watch it and check it out, go
is
watch
your
it. But
YouTube set to 4K though? You have to change it.
let's
Mine
see.
is not. It would be under the settings. Yeah, you're at 480.
Whoa.
You got to go to 2160p, big old 4K. You'll
Okay.
see a big difference. I probably won't, but you will.
Okay.
Yeah, see, it looks the same to me, but you're screen sharing, so it's not gonna look good to
Right.
me either way.
Yeah. It's not going to look right. It's going to look the same. I
So
really think the biggest difference is going to be seen on bigger screens. So when I go full screen, uh,
oh yeah,
then you're going to see the detail. You're still going to see the good detail on full screen. And I think the 5K, the 4K stuff really translates well on a bigger, like your TV, if you're going to watch
yeah,
it on TV, or if somebody had one of those, what's becoming more popular now, the bigger monitors that wrap around, right? They're like 48 inches wide. I don't know what the dimensions are, but it's like it's a curved screen that you can bend, those new ones. And
like I think
the
it's
OLEDs.
also like I can record in 5K, but it's gonna be restrained by what you're viewing it on,
That's what I'm
because
saying. Like
what you're
most
viewing
people are
on
watching these on their phones.
has top specs that you can hit. Like a phone, if you have a shitty phone like I do, it's probably going to be 1080
Mm-hmm.
max. If you have a
Mm-hmm.
newer phone, they could probably watch in 4K or higher. I don't know because I'm not a phone guy. But like TVs and stuff and even monitors, they do have a maximum resolution that they just cap out at.
Yeah, I mean the other thing too is our eyes. So it's yeah, I don't know if you have, but the thing is, most people are watching your videos from their phones. That's what the majority of views come from.
That's probably true.
Most people they're watching it while they're while they're sitting on the toilet or laying in bed or sitting on the couch when they're actually not doing something else like playing a video game. So, or they could have with people with multiple monitors, they could be playing a video game on one, have it pulled up on the other, and kind of glance at it while they're playing a game. But I don't know. But
Kind of
yeah,
weird.
if it's on the phone, it doesn't really. They're not going to see a difference from 4K to 5K.
That's okay. The
You know,
difference isn't for them then. It's for me.
you must have one badass graphics card to jam a 5K video in there and go ahead and edit it without issues.
No, actually, so that's a funny story that you bring that up. This PC was belonged to one of my teammates, and he sold it to me, and it had some decent parts in it, but the graphics card was like a Radeon, like 570, an RX
Whoa,
570, which is super old. That's like wicked bad, terrible, so
that's
bad.
slow as hell compared. Yeah,
And
okay.
so it was struggling. And then I installed Helldivers to play with my buddies. And the guy that sold me the PC, was like, "You got to update your drivers. It'll help you play the game better.
Yeah.
It'll run better." And so I updated my drivers, and then apparently that caused a cascade of issues where apparently I use my editing software is HitFilm,
Hmm.
and AMD, the producer of my graphics card at the time,
Yeah.
they didn't mesh. They would fight each other. So when I went to edit a video, the colors were inverted on a blue scale. Everything was blue, and it
Whoa.
and it processed like that. There, you couldn't fix
Ugh.
it. There was a little workaround I did for a few videos where you disabled encoding on one of the processes, and it like quadrupled export times, like made it
Hmm.
terribly unbearable.
Hmm.
Like you were talking with your old PC compared to your new one, like that was
Yeah.
how I had to work around to fix the blue.
Like my
Um,
podcast used to take 3 hours to go ahead and finish and save, and then
exactly.
now it takes 13 minutes. Yep.
And so we got a new guy this year, I think, and he had an RTX 2060 Ti or something like that because he had just upgraded to a new one. So
Hmm.
he's like, "Here, put it in, see if it works." And so we put it in, and it works, and it's been running fine. And since it's a GeForce and not an AMD, I don't have the editing problems anymore,
Mm.
and it runs 4K perfectly fine. The application will have issues on occasion, but that's application software side, not necessarily the computer side.
The hardware, yeah.
It does transfers pretty quick. It
Okay.
exports relatively quickly as long as my videos aren't 20 minutes, which I've tried not to do that anymore because it's just too long.
Yeah, what is the so the GoPro's default setting records 17 minutes and 30 some seconds by default. It's such a weird number. Uh
Really.
yeah, well, okay, I don't
My
know. I don't know.
my 9 I think did in 4K. I think it does 5 minute
Okay.
recordings,
Okay.
and it will continue to record, but it breaks it up
It
into
breaks it.
different files.
Absolutely. Yes.
Um, and that might change with the new
So that
GoPros and
okay,
the
so that
different.
was our original one. That was our GoPro 4,
Oh, geez.
3, okay, when we first started. And then we ended with an 8. No, 10. What do I have? Uh oh, they're in the closet. I think it's a 10 black. Maybe it's an 8 black. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
so those were yeah, they probably changed that because people were, because a 17-minute video through the GoPro with a higher setting, graphic setting was a resolution was pretty big file, man. I'm talking like gigs and gigs and gigs,
Oh yeah.
probably
Oh yeah,
15,
for
18
sure.
gigs.
So my on my GoPro 9, it's probably going to be different on the new one, and I'll touch on that in a second. It was actually an interesting development that I saw when I got my new one. They are like 8 to 30 gigabytes for a longer, like 5 minute clip.
Mm,
On my 9, on my SD card, I have a 256 gigabyte SD
hmm.
card. I can record about 5 hours of 4K 30 on my 9, which I was happy with because I go through and I delete all my video off of my SD card after I transfer it to a hard drive.
Yeah,
So that works fine for me, and I could even record multiple weekends if I needed to.
yeah,
And so I got my 12 this week, and I put in the SD card, and I configured it, and whatever the updates it needed. And then I set all the settings like I had on my 9 that I use for recording, and I set it to 5K 60, and I can get 9 hours of footage on the same SD card.
Whoa.
And so I was like, I texted some of the tech gurus I know, and I was like, the math isn't mathing. How does that work? How
It's
can I get
compressing.
a bigger file, bigger footage on in a smaller file? And then he was like, no, it makes sense. I was like, I'm guessing it's just better hardware and optimization that's allowing the files to be better utilized. And so I'm happy. That
That's
works
pretty
for
cool.
me.
Yeah.
Which hopefully I don't know if the files are going to be smaller because they might be, which means editing might actually be even easier. But I don't know yet. No idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Video is pretty big, but audio is as well. Like recorded audio. Uh,
Yeah.
if you know,
Yeah. No.
until
Yeah.
you, the MP3s are compressed, but, and those are small files. But like when you record, it doesn't record in MP3.
It's MP4. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I couldn't believe how much the audio added to the videos as well. So like when it's recording, speaking of your memory card and all that kind of stuff, it's like, dude, that's crazy, man. Yeah, we had 128 gig memory cards. We had I think it was the Hero 8 Black, and the old computer I had, like I was talking before. Yeah, forget it, bro. I would literally, I would put in the SD card. I would drag and drop, transfer the file into my, on my hard drive, and I would walk away, and I would just
Yeah.
leave
Come
and
back
just
next week.
not quite
Go out for lunch and dinner, and
go
then
to go
maybe
on
it's done.
vacation. Okay, come back.
It's like a Xbox download when you're downloading Call of Duty at 400 gigabytes. You're
Oh
just
my
like, yeah,
God,
I'll come back in 3 days when it's done.
dude, when uh when GTA 5 came out, okay, and then you have the game, you have it installed. It's not that big. Okay, you put it on, you start playing. Then they have an update, or most
Hmm.
of the updates aren't that big. The add-ons, okay, when they have the add-ons and add-ons and add-ons, GTA 5 came out a long freaking time ago, and it's still rolling like the online thing. So you've
Yeah.
got tons of stuff. So I had deleted it off my Xbox hard drive like a while ago. And then I'm like, oh, I want to play it again. Okay. 63 or 70 gigs or something like that to download. Now, luckily I have it hardwired and I get, 500 megs a second on I have higher internet speed, but
I'm jealous.
it's still, uh, it still is bottlenecked at the server
Yeah.
end, right? It's like it has to go through Xbox Live, whatever thing they're doing, plus through the GTA, I mean, Rockstar thing, okay? And it's also based on how much traffic is going on at the time on their end and on my end. So who knows? It still is going to take a while. And I was like, fuck, 70 gigs. Okay.
Yeah, I get really irritated with Call of Duty because it's like I see all these new games and they're like, "Oh, 30 gigabytes." And I look at Call of Duty, it's like 400 and I'm like, "Can you guys stop doing this on purpose?"
Oh, it's hilarious.
And of course, they made it so that they're all under like one hub game now because it's like it's just called Call of Duty, and then you go in there and then you choose the Call of Duty you want to play, and so you have to install like all of it, and it's just it's
Yes.
terrible. It's garbage.
So
I can't do it anymore.
you mentioned earlier when we were talking, you mentioned how I had Ghost on here, and you and Ghost are the same age. Well, him and I talked about Call of Duty for a
Oh,
minute, like a
dude, you
hot
guys
minute,
were talking about video games for a long time.
a while. Like we went through and looked up when the first Call of Duty came out, how long they've been out, how many are there. It was crazy, but I love talking about that stuff too. I like movies, I like games. I've been a gamer my whole life. I started out on Pong, the original Pong. My
Oh,
dad, like for real, man. My dad brought home Pong in the '70s, and him and his buddies, when before my dad hurt his back at a factory he worked in, he made really decent money back then, and he so he brought home Pong, and we were the first people on our street and our block to have this kind of thing, right? And him and I would play, and then I got an Atari 2600, and then my buddies were getting television and ColecoVision and all kind of shit like that. All these different gaming systems were coming out. Now we're down to two, right? basic consoles. Well, no, three. Sorry, Nintendo. Shit, how could I
Yeah.
miss that one? The Switch, um, yeah. So it is. It's been a huge part of my life for a very long time, and so all these different games, story games, the shooters, the all the shit, man, and all the how it's changed over the years. I do like talking about that stuff. It's kind of fun, some of it's nostalgic, and I always get sucked in. I always get sucked into some of these things where I see some of these older games and it brings back those memories. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go play it. And then I try to play it. I'm like, fuck, that sucks. Like the game sucks. Like, because
That
it's like
is,
watching one of those old movies. You've seen a movie 10 years ago. You're like, man, I had some really fond memories of that movie. Let me go watch it again. You're like, oh my God, why did I even like this? This thing sucks ass. Like, some of them are good, are timeless. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty fun.
well, no, I share a lot of those same, because you're what? You're 54?
54, yeah,
That is my father was 54 as well. So he was
yep,
born 1970. So he went
yep,
through very much the same thing you did,
yeah,
and he was big into games. He loved the Xbox 360. He took it when he was, I'm not sure if he took it with him when he was deployed, but I know he talked about LAN parties with all of his buddies
yeah,
playing Call of Duty and stuff. But like we were like PS2 kids, or at least I was a PS2 kid,
yep. A lot of my kids were as well.
before we swapped to Xbox 360, and he would play a lot of these older games. Like he played like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Bro,
He
yes.
played the Silent Hill games, and
Hmm.
I would just watch him play all the time, and I have memories of that.
Yeah.
And it's like this year, it's like they're coming out with Silent Hill 2, the remake, and they're coming out with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, the
Yeah.
remake. And I'm just kind of sad. It's like I wish I could have just showed that and been like, "Hey, dude, like play them, like just do it."
Hmm.
And I can't. I obviously can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, I grew up doing that, and he loved video games, and
That's cool.
but it's pretty cool.
You got some good memories, man, with your dad. And it's only been I'm sorry for your loss, man. It's only been what a few months, and
Yeah,
so
since June,
yeah,
June.
yeah,
So
yeah. Do you guys have like was he camera shy, or do you have enough like videos and
I
pictures
don't,
where
I don't have videos of him,
okay,
but
okay,
somehow this man always found a way to like get on camera, like in videos. Like he was on the news, because he flagged like construction flagging,
yeah.
and he would read books to people when they were stuck in traffic. And so he got on the news, the local news for that.
Oh, that's
And
cool, man.
back when he was younger, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, when I was a young teenager or into my teen years, he would do stuff like he's on the video for the Tough Mudder, like the Army Tough Mudder from like 2014. He's in there.
Hmm.
Like he's just in videos and places, and he just has like that was one of the things he was famous for, was like putting on his army uniform and going to like NASCAR races. He loved doing that because he would worm his way down into the pits and meet with the racers, and like there's so many stories that my family has of him, that he would do it when he was younger,
Yeah.
before I was really in the picture. But it's hilarious. I don't have like videos or anything of him. He's in some airsoft videos, and I got to go through and I got to see if I can pull some of that
Yeah.
and use it in my video when I
Right.
do it, because
Oh,
it's
that's
cool.
cool.
There's a shot of me and him on a trail, and you might be able to pull it up actually. We could show people.
Yeah.
Not that it
Do you remember
matters
which
super
video it
much.
is?
I think it's gonna be, if you go to look up Omega Maine on YouTube. That's Omega's YouTube channel. So he does a YouTube for the field, and he records the games from Omega with an O.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't worry, dude. I hear people on the radio going Omega, Omigo, Omigo, and
Amigo.
it's really funny when you hear that. I just kind of chuckle.
Yeah.
Um, it might be Omega Me.
It didn't
You
come
might
up
have to
on
go
my
to
end.
channels. Is there a channels section? No. Is it? You know what? I might be able to. Let me pull up
Let's just
my
scroll
YouTube.
through.
I'll
Let's
find it.
see.
It's like some really obscure name. It's Omega something.
Seeing all these are Omega. Yeah. See, that's not
Yeah,
even the right.
it's so obscure. So it is Omega Airsoft with no spaces.
Oh, okay.
It's it's shadow banned by the YouTube gods, so it's kind
The
of hard to
search
find.
feature on YouTube is horrible,
There he
which makes
is.
zero sense because it's their YouTube, I mean, and Google are the same. Like what's going
It's all
on?
right. You can go ahead and click that subscribe button and get 700 subscribers so I can throw him a party.
There
All
you
right,
go.
continue on.
It'll
It would be, I think it was WMD from like 2019, 2020. So it's a while ago. Oh wait, go up a little bit. I saw weapons of mass destruction. Go up a little bit more. Well, a little bit more maybe. Is it 2021? Might be 2021. That might be it. Because I think I started playing in 2019, 2018.
yeah.
So, and oh, he did a longer video back then. A lot of his videos the past few years have been rather short, and I nag him for it. Because I'm like, I want more airsoft. Give more airsoft. Because he does like perspective as like a moderator, so he gets like footage of everyone,
Mm,
not just like a POV of like what I do.
yeah.
And so it's really good representation for like the field and for all players in general. But I don't quite remember if it's this one or if it was another game. We were on a trail, and this is back when I had a ghillie suit. Don't run that anymore. Learned that very quickly. I actually had one of my newer teammates. He's like, I'm gonna run the ghillie suit, and I was like, I advise against it, but I will let you do it once. Oh, was that it? Because we're flagging down our teammates to come join us on the trail.
Yeah.
Maybe was it even older than this? I might be able to find it too, actually. We'll both start searching. Hunt it down. Because it's a really cool still of me sitting on the corner of the trail waving down the rest of our some of our faction mates, and he's kind of like walking up behind me.
Hmm.
It's really father and son esque. It
That's
was
cool.
before the tank. What game was it? Was it Gren's maybe from two
So this
years
is so
ago?
they have some recent videos on here like so they're this is for the field you said?
Yeah, this is for the field.
Okay.
That's me. I'm not running so it's before that one. Fate of Our Nation, Retribution. It was before Retribution. Oh boy, it's old. Okay, it's Weapons of Mass Destruction 2020. We missed it by a year.
Gotcha. Right here.
Okay, hang on. Let me find it. It is quite literally in the first like 12 seconds of the video.
Whoa. Right
So
here?
I'm gonna look way different. So that's my father right there.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And then I'm gonna come up next to him. So he's giving the thumb to our teammates down the trail.
Yeah.
You're gonna see me come up off of his side with the radio, and I'm gonna look way younger and way skinnier.
I'm sure.
Like not even the same
That's you
person. Yep,
with
in
the
my ghillie
ghillie.
suit.
Yeah, yeah.
Ain't that just cute? That's
Dude,
so
that's awesome, man.
adorable.
I mean, that's cool. You got this though.
Yeah,
That
I
is
gotta
cool.
snag that somehow. I don't know how to do it. if I have to screen record it or something, I don't understand how footage and computers work, so there'll
Yeah.
be some troubleshooting. But
Yeah,
that
that
was
is cool to have, man.
that tiny blue radio that's on my chest. I still have it, actually.
Really?
It is in one of my boxes. Someone loaned that to me and then never grabbed it back, so I've had it ever since. It works, sort
Yeah,
of. It's not great, but no, that was me and my dad when we were younger.
that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, it's good to have that kind of stuff. We have pictures. My dad was killed in a freak accident back in 2002. He was 63. 80-foot oak tree fell on him through
Wow,
in a big storm, right? Big
that's
windstorm.
crazy.
And yeah, it's like just wild out of the blue. A bunch of trees had fallen in the whole area from this storm, but there wasn't really any, you know, too much damage. I mean, there's some property damage, like somebody's garage or a car that was empty, got hit and stuff. But and the wild thing was, my buddy that I grew up with, his name's Eric as well. He was a fireman after the army, and he was the first one on the scene.
Oh,
The fireman group. So he knew the name when Jesse Scalf came up on the screen, or when on the call or whatever. They he knew it was my dad, and he was like, "Oh shit!" So, but yeah, he was pretty much dead on arrival, and uh, he got hit in the head with one of the branches, and it knocked him back onto the concrete driveway, and just his brain swelled up pretty instantly, and blood flow, of course, kind of thing. So,
wow.
yeah, it's pretty wild,
No
dude.
shit. That's the
Yeah,
same way my old man went. He was diagnosed with high blood pressure,
really.
and he was at work, and it just spiked over to like 200,
Yeah,
and his brain just filled with blood, and that's exactly how he went.
really.
So it was that same kind of sudden,
Yeah,
you know, in the hospital it was very peaceful, and it was very
sure.
fortunate, but we didn't get to have any of those last like
Uh-uh.
conversations or anything. It
Mm-mm.
was his brain at that point was completely gone. So that's absolutely wild that we shared that kind of.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
it is, man. It's a shock, especially when your dad's a big part of your life, and obviously you guys were tight. And yeah, I'm glad you got to spend the time with them that you did. And one of the things that's one of the reasons I keep doing this podcast, to be honest, is the getting these stories out here, man. You never know. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, man. Like it just it's
That
not that
that's
common. It's
true.
not like, all of our friends die overnight, or
Yeah, yeah, no, it's not like that.
so, but those things here and there, man, it just you never know. And it's not like living in fear, we don't live in fear, nothing like, oh my gosh, I'm going to
No.
die today or something. But it is one of those things that now that we have the technology to do it with videos and recordings, and it is nice to have some of these things to look back on when someone's not here with us.
So there's another video on the channel. I think this was the last game he attended.
Hmm.
And he actually donated. So I I wrote him into the game as an objective. So I
Nice.
sent him and his buddies to a base, and I was like, he has dog tags on him. You gotta
Yeah.
kill him and collect dog tags, and you'll get something for it. And so he was over the moon. He was like, "This is the best game ever written. Like, this is exactly what I wanted."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "All right, cool." And at the end of the game, he actually, I think he donated like $100. Just gave players like $50, I think. And it's in here. It's Weapons of Mass Destruction 2022. Funny enough, same game next year or
Yeah,
2 years later. One of our favorite games that we run at the field, and I it has a apparently a very special place in my heart for some reason.
for sure.
But it would be at the very, yeah, so at like 6 minutes. It's the end raffle section. So yeah,
Gotcha.
like six, it's like 6:30, 6:40, I think, is the end there. Yeah, so obviously he's a little bit more rotund than he was a few years ago. So that's him, his best buddy in the digital.
Yeah.
The I think it's
Yeah, I
is it
recognize his face.
Marpat.
That's him. Yeah.
Marpat next to him. That is call sign Digi, which is Clayton's father, and Clayton's my best friend. That's a funny story I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
So when we first went to the field, me and my dad, we went and played. Me and my dad always got separated every time because
Yeah.
we just played different. And so I met another kid who was like new, and he was just there, but he was like pretty confident. He was decent with his rifle, and he understood, how to not be terrible and be useless. So
Yeah.
me and him,
That's good.
I gave him a detachment of troops, and I had a detachment of troops. And I said, "Hey, we're gonna do a two-pronged assault on Castle, which was a fortified position. It's a building."
Yeah.
And so I said, "Hey, I'll be the forward element here. I will draw their attention to their rear. You take your troops, hit them from the side after I create a distraction." And so we did that. I died, of course. I'm always dead in 90% of the times because I'm always in the front. But he went through with his guys, cleared the building, took the objective. And so it was a great moment for us, and we were like best buddies after that, right? So the game ends, we're doing what you're watching now, the debrief, and we're all hanging out talking to each other. And then I don't know if they rolled up together, my dad and Digi, but so me and Clayton became best buds, and apparently Digi's his dad. So our dads became best buds on
Hmm.
the field without any of us knowing, having, an inclination of what was happening. So it was
Yeah.
really funny that we just kind of naturally clicked like that and formed a group.
That is cool.
But that, I think Weapons of Mass Destruction 2022 was the last game he actually attended because I
Okay.
don't think he attended any games in 2023. I don't know why he just stopped going.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was his. He's obviously pretty happy. I
Yeah.
made
Right.
I
That's
made a
cool, man.
whole wanted poster. We put up wanted posters of him, and I have the image somewhere. I don't know where it is, and I probably can't pull it up. But it was some really terrible photo of him around a fire, and he was holding like a fire stick, like at like this. And so I drew devil horns on him, and then we printed out the photo and had it as a wanted poster. It was great,
That's cool,
great,
man.
great game, great time. We made fun of it for him.
I love that you have the YouTube channel and that you have these videos that you can go back to, man. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I,
but
I
listen,
actually have some old videos where my dad is in them from my father-in-law bought my wife and I a I can't remember what brand it was, but it was a I think it was a Sony camcorder. It was a VHS compact, so it was called VHS-C, and it was one of the first when they first came out with this kind of platform. So they went, the old VHSs when you see these old '80s movies where we're putting a VHS into the VCR player. They're pretty big. Okay, they're about the size of a book, and the VHS-C was smaller than your phone. Okay, more compact than your phone, but it was thick.
was that a cassette?
Yeah, yep.
I think I have one of those. I
Do
have
you?
like a Sony Color camcorder 8 or something that
Yeah,
takes that type of deal. We found it.
VHS-C.
We found it at a abandoned house that we may or may not have broken into at one point in time with my family.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Yeah, I have them on some of those videos. It's great to have that, man. It's great to have that. I love that you have this stuff with your dad doing stuff he loves. That's cool. Dude, listen, man, it's been awesome talking with you, man. So glad we finally got to meet up. So the other night we were supposed to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like 2 nights ago, and my wife was coming back from a store or whatever, and fairly close to here. She gets rear-ended. She's sitting at a stoplight. There's no traffic. She's the only car at the stoplight. It's almost dark. It's like 7:30 at night, and just gets plowed into in the rear end on the kind of like the back corner. And the guy that hit her, when he hit her, it blew out his front tire, and because he tried to swerve at the last second, like he didn't see her,
Oh,
tried to swerve at the last second, swerved left, hit with his right front on her back left, and it blew out his tire. And when it did, it his rim dropped to the ground, and it dug in to the pavement and pulled him back to the right, right back into her. And so he sideswiped her as well. And then all the way up to the driver's door. And the driver's door is pushed in so deep you can't roll the window up and down, and it's all bent and everything. So then the dude drives off.
what?
On he tries to flee the scene. No shit. And with no tire, he's driving on the rim, literally. So apparently he lived right there, like a minute away. Okay. So my wife follows him. My wife's pissed. She's
I
hurt, but she's
mean,
pissed.
yeah.
My wife's got a temper.
I
Okay.
don't
My wife's
blame
got
her.
my wife's got a temper. So all reason and logic goes out the window. She's like, F this dude, I'm following. He ain't fleeing the scene. I'm following him. She does. So he pulls in his apartment complex like a minute away. She pulls up next to, right by him, and the guy is just sitting in his car. He doesn't even get out. She gets out and knocks on his window, and is like, and he rolls the window down, and she's like, why the hell are you leaving, bro? You didn't see me? What happened? And he's like, oh, no. But when he rolls the window down, he smells like alcohol. So
Uh,
she's like, oh, hell no. She's already on the phone with the cops. When she called 911, she's telling them, hey, this dude just hit me. I'm following him. He's leaving. And they're like, ma'am, do not follow him. Just go back to the scene. This could be dangerous. She's
yeah.
like, no, I'm following him. So she she cracked me up, dude. Uh, Super dangerous, but it worked out fine. And the guy stayed there until the cops came, and everything, it all worked out. Hopefully, my wife, she's okay. She's got, this kind of like whiplash symptoms.
Yeah.
Neck and shoulder are really bothering her, um, which just adds to her frustration. But anyway, that was the night we were supposed to do this podcast. So I'm glad we were able to get on here, brother. I appreciate it. It's been great talking with you. Glad to learn about your warfighters team and all that good stuff going on. I'm glad you guys know Matty Moe and his team. A special group up there. So, and the whole East Coast Alliance that you guys
Yeah.
have up there, pretty
Yeah.
cool with Stag Ops and all these dudes.
I'm a little bit quiet because I'm a local guy, but I see it.
Yeah,
I pay attention.
yeah,
I just might
absolutely,
not
man,
take part
absolutely.
in all the time.
So anyway, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. We'll get you on again with some of your teammates maybe in the future. We'll do
That'd
group
be
one.
awesome. I have
And
I have some questions real quick for
yeah,
you.
go ahead, man.
Do you have anyone on that's like good at tech work by chance
Mm,
that you bring on the podcast?
yeah, I've had a lot of texts on, man.
I was like, it would be cool to do like
Oh,
some kind of tech
test my
episode.
memory here. Hold on, let's see. All right. Uh, Russell's Customs. He builds guns. Houdini builds. He mostly does high kappas. Hefe's Airsoft out of Florida. He builds. Wolverine. There's always
I
Wolverine
loved that
Airsoft.
episode.
Yeah,
That
dude.
was interesting. It'd be cool if you could get Polar Star because I'm a Polar Star boy, but
I'm yeah, I'm working on reaching out to a lot of these big names because a lot of these companies started out like what Wolverine, what he talked about, and in the airsoft industry, it's been like that. Almost everyone I've talked with, that's how it goes. Like Evic, uh, Airsoft GI, all these guys started out with one or two people,
Yeah. And then they
just
grow.
getting, a handful of guns and like, hey man, let's sell them at these events. And then, oh, we sold enough. Let's do a store. And now a warehouse. And now, it's been years and years. So a lot of these tech companies like Polar Star or Wolverine or whatever that build, they started out just doing it on the side, you know?
But I'm thinking if you ever wanted to, I think it'd be kind of cool to get two or three guys that do build or at least know, and we could do like an informative, not just like a talk about stories and stuff, but do like a more informative video about like airsoft products and
Hmm.
like actually what it means to like build rifles and like just so people can listen to it and actually maybe glean some kind of understanding. I think that would be super awesome. It'd be a great resource for people.
That sounds great, man. Anyone
And
listening, if you guys have input on or suggestions on this, I would love to come up with an idea.
because I'm huge
So,
into it,
yeah.
and it's just like getting into talking about gear. Like it's
Hmm.
never ending. Like you could be here for
Oh,
forever talking about it. So it's
yes.
like
Well, I'm going to tell you
um
the best gear guy I know that I personally know that does that is a wealth of knowledge on a lot of gear that a lot of people don't even know about is Muddy. Muddy Reviews. That dude, I'm telling you, bro. Yeah, there's been a lot of people I've had on here that are good at teching. We probably didn't talk about it that much.
yeah, that's it's a
You know what I
wormhole.
mean?
It's dangerous.
Well, I don't mind talking about it, but normally I'm asking questions like, because I'm curious about people's lives. Like, I'm mostly
Yeah,
curious about how they got to where they're at now and, like, what made them become who they are, right? So, what kind of experiences did you have in high school? Did you get picked on? Did you get bullied? I did. I got my ass kicked like when I was growing up. It scared the shit out of me to walk home from school, like for real. Uh, and then not everyone has that experience. Like, what was it for you? Like people in South Africa or Russia, when I talked with, I'm like, how was high school? Like, what do you guys learn?
that's crazy to
Like, do you
actually
learn how to
know.
drink vodka when you're in high school? Is that what they teach in Russia? You know, come on, man. I want to know. So, we never really get to the tech side, but I would love to do that, man. If you send me some ideas, and people that maybe you suggestions or whatever. I'd love to set that up.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
That'd
And
be
my
cool.
final question is you are obviously sponsored by Skirmash
Yes.
and you talked to Brandon. Brandon actually came and played at our field um and it wasn't super recently, but it was like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously I was too young to really know what airsoft was in my community.
Yeah.
But now that I've grown a little bit and I actually do all the work I do for fields, I've been talking to Omega, who runs Harris and Coles, and I've been really trying to convince him to look into Skirmesh because I obviously listened to your podcast and I was like, the stuff we do at our fields is exactly why he built that system.
Hmm.
And since we do mini milsims and we do them every weekend during the airsoft season, like the amount of data that he could collect, and not only that, the amount of complicated and unique objectives we like to do at our games,
Yeah.
I would love to actually try to talk to him and be like, "Hey, can we like it's gonna take a minute, but like I don't know how he is with contact, and I'm obviously not a representative of the field. I'm not an owner of the field,
Yeah.
and I'm not able to do and make those decisions. But I would like to at least try to gather more intel for the people who do make those decisions. I've talked with Omega about it prior, and he's open to it because it does all of the stuff that we would want to do, and it does
Yeah.
it automatically. Right now, Omega actually does it manually via apps on his phone and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and radios.
Sure.
So it's huge commitment from him, and I want to make his experience more easy so that he can actually do what he loves
Yeah.
and not have to stress about running games. I just don't know how he is to get in contact with, like I don't know if
Oh,
he
Brandon is
ever
very,
talks to
very easy
people.
to get in contact with. He's very professional with it. If you contact him, he'll get back to you right away. Uh, at least even just to set up a time to talk or whatever. So, yeah, he's very approachable that way. Very easy to get in touch with. I have obviously I have his links on here. and also he's on Facebook and Instagram, Skirmish
Oh, he's on
Mesh.
Facebook?
Yeah, he's on Facebook.
That
It's
makes me happy.
yeah. If you start typing in Skirmish, it's called Skirmish Mesh because I believe he said somebody else had Skirmish, which is weird, but
That
because
is
it's spelled
weird.
differently. But yeah, so Skirmish Mesh, and you can contact him through there or Instagram
Oh, I
or through his
unplugged my
website.
keyboard.
And yeah, so yeah, it's a such a streamlined process, man, for these event hosts if they use it properly, okay, and they listen to what the instruction on how to use it and how to set it up. I'm going to tell you a tip, okay. In the future, if you get this thing on your field, which I think you will for some events, whenever the game is set up, scan everyone's bracelet in. That's it. It's just like registering, okay. So some of the bigger events, like 6 millimeter Mando, had 500 people at an event. Uh, Balahack has used the system
Yeah.
for with hundreds and hundreds. And what they did, they both do it a little bit differently, but Balahack did a thing where they had red bracelets and blue bracelets or something like that, right? Red and blue teams or green and tan, whatever it was, and they scanned them all ahead of time. Their admins scanned them all ahead of time.
Oh.
So these are the bracelets that don't track
Yeah, they're not
your
the personal
personal, yeah,
bracelets.
that's
Yeah.
just for the event. Okay, so you can see what your team did, but yeah, not you individually. So for those big events like that, they had two like 5 gallon buckets, and they had all these bracelets already scanned in, ready to go for the game. And so when the people came up to register for the game, hey, check in, I'm here. What team you on? Green. Okay, they'd hand them a green bracelet. Put that on, wear it throughout the game. This is what you use, and they would get instruction on that. So that's how they did it. That way, it didn't take an extra hour or whatever to scan everybody in that doesn't know how to do it, whatever. So it's really just a tap. But they went through and had their admins do it beforehand, and then Mando did a couple,
Yeah.
something similar. So and then the ones that are individual, they could just go up to a box and scan like, hey, if you already got a bracelet and you're on green team, go stand in this box right here. If you're on tan team, go scan that box right there. So it is a really streamlined process once you learn. But
Yeah, so I'm already thinking about that, and I had
yeah,
kind of come up with that idea prior because
okay,
we do faction armbands, so we do
yeah,
colors or insignias
yep,
for most of our games, and we do that when you register at the front office thingy,
okay,
whatever we call it, the sugar shack because it's a sugar shack. But um,
awesome.
yeah, we already kind of do that.
There you go.
And to implement it, and I was thinking about all the funky ways we would have to program some of these things to get away with the objectives and the gameplay that we do.
Yeah,
Um, and that
Brandon
was
loves
one of
that. By the
them.
way, if you guys want to try some different things, he loves doing that.
Dude, we want to do all the stuff. At
He
least
loves doing that.
we do some funky objectives that we love to
Hmm.
do. Um, but I was thinking about that, like how we do faction armbands. If you have to leave, you just put them in a bucket, and it's like all we'd have to do is have the same group of wristbands, like 200 of them, have them pre-scanned and locked in, and just label them faction one, faction two, and
Yeah.
for any of the two faction games we do, okay, you're on U.S. Army, that's faction one in Skirmish. Here's your wristband.
Hmm.
You're already set up. Like that is so super convenient.
Right.
And a lot of the arguments some of the guys that go to the field have made is like, oh, he's gonna have to go out and put the boxes and do all the pre-prep. And I'm like, he already does that for all of the games. Anyhow, he goes and presets like the faction
Every event
flags.
host, every mil sim, no matter how big or small, these guys, when they rent a field, the only exception would be Balahack because that's his own property. But all the other ones, like Third Coast Airsoft uses GTI most, a lot of times. Government Training Institute here in Barnwell, South Carolina, is whoever owns that. Maybe it's South Carolina, I don't know, but that institute or that training facility is used by a bunch of different places. So whenever they have an event there, they have to go out there. Him and his team have to go out there and go set up
Yeah.
all the different things that they want, props or whatever. They already have to do the work. And so you're right. That's like somebody has to do that anyway. if you're going to do it, why not have these, take, if you're going to get the skirmish thing, it's not extra work. It's just take it with you, go do it, and set it
And
up.
the thing that I explain to people is like, yeah, he would have to go do that.
Yeah.
But the thing is like once it's set up, it's self-running and self-scoring. It
Yep.
takes away the minute-to-minute responsibilities that he would have
100%.
so that he can, record or moderate
Yep.
and like actually interact with people rather than having to run scoring and stuff because no one else
Hmm.
wants to do it because we all want to go shoot people,
Yep.
whatever. It's a pretty good feeling,
Exactly.
whatever. You
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah. You
I'm
don't
super
on that, once
interested.
it's set up, you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to do anything. You just, everyone goes and plays. And when they tap for, uh, a respawn or a medic or a tap capturing something or looting, right? Because he can set it up to where you're getting points are racking up for your team as it's clicking for the every 5 seconds or whatever it is, as
Dude,
long as you
some of the
hold that.
stuff I was thinking of, it's like some of the objectives we do and the gameplay we do. It's like I would have to find some real janky workarounds to get it to tabulate score properly. Like, oh, there's this prop that we like to do. Like I'm not sure if you saw it, but we love the yellow nuke duffel bags.
Oh yeah,
It's
those are
like
cool.
sometimes in order to score those, you have to have them in a certain base at a certain time. And it's like, how do you do that? Like, oh, let's duct tape a wristband to this fucking duffel bag and click it against the box
I mean,
somewhere.
hey, yeah,
But like, I'm sure, like, especially Brandon, like, it's a great opportunity for him to like flex his programming brain and be like,
bro.
hey, we can program all these awesome custom game modes that you guys do because we
The
usually
boxes
cycle in a bunch.
actually, the boxes are so smart. The way he's set these up, they do a shit ton of stuff. And I told him a while ago, I was like, bro, when you talk to these field, group organizers or whatever it is, just don't tell them everything. It's like information overload. They're gonna start, their eyes are gonna gloss over. They're gonna be like, wait, what? What can it do? Like it does so fucking much. Okay, that most people
Where
don't even know what it can
we're
do.
so
So,
backwards. I see all of the stuff that he
but
has programmed. I'm like, how can we twist that to make it work for what we do in
I'm
a way that
gonna
it
tell you, man,
works?
he thought that most field owners would really get it and go, yeah, I like all those
No,
features.
they have
And
no
most of them
idea.
are like, I think it's over their head, to be honest. I really do. I'm not trying to be mean to them or nothing. It's just I really do think it's over their head. So you got to be a little, you got to have some smarticles to understand it, and you got to be a little bit creative, like you are, where you're going, like, okay, I got this idea to do this. So, but yeah, definitely reach out to him. I'll send him your Facebook. I could send him your Facebook stuff.
Yeah, I will. If I gotta reconnect, I unplugged my keyboard to plug in my
Yeah,
webcam. But
yeah, I
I
got
will
you.
search up Skirmesh Mesh and I will send him a
Yeah.
message because he knows who we are. He's been here apparently, according
Okay.
to
Cool. Cool.
Omega. Omega was, I think, on. He leaves like one game a year for like a wedding usually, and I think it
Gotcha.
happened to fall on that weekend, so he wasn't actually here to talk to him.
Hmm.
So I want to reach
Yeah,
out
definitely,
again
man. That'd be
because
awesome.
our attendance is up. The field is a nonprofit, so all the money that is made goes back into the field. So we
Yep.
have the budget to do something interesting, and I think this would be a good step in the right
Dude, your
direction.
players
So
would love it, man. Would love it. And not only that, especially if you do, you go on the website and look at how the event went
yeah, I mean, there's
later
so
on.
many features that I think a lot of our players would really appreciate because
Awesome.
as I said, we do mini ops every weekend. So our veteran players, our upcoming players are not just your run of the mill. I'm gonna go shoot people. They appreciate
Hmm.
the complex objectives, and they would appreciate that kind of feature where they could have their stats and they could watch the game in live. Like
Yeah.
that's nerdy stuff that I think the guys at our field would really like.
Awesome, man.
So
Definitely.
Brandon,
Well,
I'm coming for you. We're gonna talk.
shout out again to the sponsors, Skirmesh and Jackal Tactical. Go check out their links in the descriptions of all these videos. And also check out this guy, Cody with a K, call sign Dusty. Go check out his stuff on his YouTube channel, Warfighters Airsoft, which I'll have the links for in here. And yeah, thank you, man, for being on. And thanks everybody for
Yeah,
watching and listening. Give me some feedback online if y'all are listening and you're on Spotify or something like that, go to the Spotify thing and hit the like button on there or whatever it is, whatever that thing is on there. I've
They have a
got
like
like,
button.
yeah, there's like yeah, Spotify, so it's so strange because it's so popular, but it's so archaic in how it's set up. Like it doesn't follow the normal, like you can't comment on people's posts and you can't, it's such a weird thing. But there is a like thing on there where you can
Huh.
like the channel.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you're
think you can like
following
the
them.
individual episodes, which is strange, but you can like the channel. And I've got a ton of listens and downloads on Spotify, like tens of thousands, and I have like less than 30, I think. I don't know, clicks on there. So go on there and do it. It helps me out. I appreciate it. And we'll get the word out that this is growing growing the podcast. So, but man,
Yeah,
thank you, Cody.
can I do a quick little shout out
Absolutely.
for anyone in New England area? So like Maine, New Hampshire, something that's not terribly far away. Probably not Mass. Mass is a little bit of trip, but next year, from now because our fields are closed, come play at our field at Harris and or Coles and experience something different because in New England, no one really, unless you go to an actual milsim, no one offers the complexity of the games that we do. So like, come up, come play, give your feedback. We do a little round table at the end of every game, so we definitely want to hear input. If you weren't so far away, I'd love for you to come play, but you're all the way down in the Carolinas.
Right. That's
But
it's a long trip.
we'd love you
Awesome,
as
man.
press.
Right. All right, brother. Thank
All
you so
right,
much, man. Have a good night.
have a good night, E-Rock.